Good Wednesday morning, everybody. I'm meteorologist Jefferson Donovan in today for Dave Furtado. Now, yesterday we did see beautiful weather across the forecast area, and more of the same will be in store for today. As we wake up this morning in the Tri-Cities, we are looking at already mostly clear skies. In fact, I did get reasonable word, or I heard from a reliable source, that we can see a couple of planets out there. So you might want to get outside and take a look at those mostly clear skies this morning. It is 66 degrees right now. Here is a look at your weather headlines today and going forward. We will be looking at pleasant high temperatures for both today and tomorrow. By the time we get to Friday through the weekend, however, we are going to be subject to some pretty high heat, and then temperatures will stay abnormally warm through next week. We'll talk more about all three of these weather headlines more coming up. But we're going to start the news side of things off this morning in Grandview. Yakima County Sheriff's deputies are asking for your help as they try to figure out what led to a shooting where 5 people were shot on Saturday. The shooting happened in the 1600 block of Apricot Road during a house party. Deputies say the shooting involved juveniles who had been drinking. There is no word on the conditions of those shot. If you know anything about this shooting, you're asked to contact the Yakima County Sheriff's Office. And in the weeks following University of Idaho killer Brian Kohberger's arrest, his peers told police he seemed intense, domineering, and even creepy. In July, Kohberger pleaded guilty to killing 4 University of Idaho students and was sentenced to life in prison without parole. The revelations about his behavior come from a trove of newly released investigative documents. Students and instructors at nearby Washington State University told police Kohberger would act aggressively, staring at his classmates when he wasn't dominating group discussions. One classmate said Kohberger would follow her after class and block her path when she tried to leave conversations. And nearly 3 months since Travis Decker was last seen, he remains the only suspect in the murders of his 3 daughters. Investigators say DNA evidence shows Decker, and only Decker, at the crime scene where the young girls ages 5, 8, and 9 were found dead. Decker is charged with 3 counts of murder and kidnapping, but despite months of searching, authorities have not been able to locate him. A $20,000 reward is still being offered for information leading to Decker's arrest. And Governor Bob Ferguson is responding to U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi about Washington's sanctuary policies. Both Washington and Oregon got letters from Bondi. The letters suggest the state would lose federal funding and face civil or criminal penalties. Governor Ferguson says he will not give in.
Washington State is proud to be a welcoming community that values immigrants and refugees' contributions to our economy and our cultural fabric.
Washington GOP Chairman Jim Walsh argued Ferguson should comply with the federal law, saying, quote, Bob Ferguson is putting essential functions of state government at risk in order to perpetuate a foolish political fight with the federal government. The governor says Washington State will not be bullied to drop its sanctuary status, and he's prepared for a legal fight with the White House. Attorney General Pam Bondi had given the governor a deadline, which was yesterday, to suggest how Washington would conform with federal immigration policy or face severe penalties. KOMO's senior reporter Chris Daniels was at the governor's press conference yesterday and has more.
Under the Capitol dome, Malou Chavez made a statement.
There's so much fear. People are choosing not to, go and work or go take their kids to school.
The executive director of the Northwest Immigrant Rights Project,
we are living in unprecedented times,
stood next to the governor supporting a potential fight.
I am not intimidated by Pam Bondi or the president. Nobody standing behind me is intimidated by Pam Bondi or the president.
Washington Governor Bob Ferguson formally responding to a threat from Attorney General Pam Bondi, who suggested in a letter last week that the state must comply with federal immigration policy or face civil and criminal penalties and a loss of hundreds of millions of dollars in federal funding.
This letter embarrasses and disgraces the office of the United States Attorney General.
Instead, Ferguson says he will protect the Keep Washington Working Act and sanctuary status.
Are you prepared to pay the bills and keep the lights on here in Washington State?
Yeah, thanks for that question, Chris. That's going to be difficult from a financial standpoint, but also we need to do that in a way, it's my feeling, and I think the folks here agree with me, that we also have to make sure we are, as a state, upholding our values as a state.
Is the city of Seattle prepared to absorb the loss of federal funding?
every single week we examine that issue.
Seattle's mayor, who received a similar letter, also struck a similar tone. How do you answer that argument that there is case law here that can support Pam Bondi if she perhaps wants to take this to court?
Yeah, but there's also case law under the 10th Amendment and how it applies to cities and states like ourselves that we feel we're on very solid footing.
The federal government cannot compel the local state governments to do their job.
The question now is, how will Bondi and the Department of Justice view the response in Olympia?
And switching to election coverage, as of yesterday, the August primary election is now officially certified. In Yakima County, about 22,000 votes were counted, a 16% voter turnout. In one of the most talked about races, Mabton Mayor Rachel Ruelas has been confirmed as making it onto the general election ballot. She beat out former Mayor Laura Vasquez by just 8 votes. She'll face Martha Gonzalez in November. Kittitas County had a much higher turnout, with about 48% of voters returning their ballots and over 10,000 ballots being counted in Benton County. More than 23,000 ballots were counted, with a 21% voter turnout. As for Franklin County, they had a voter turnout of about 34%, with about 400 ballots counted. And heading over to Walla Walla County, over 11,000 ballots were counted, with about a 30% voter turnout. The absence of former Pasco Mayor and Council member Pete Serrano has opened up a new spot on the City Council. Serrano resigned as Pasco Mayor and City Council member to serve as the interim U.S. Attorney for Eastern Washington. The Pasco City Council is now opening up applications to fill the council member spot for District 4. The appointed member will serve until December 31st of this year.
A set policy at the city. So you may interact very frequently with our staff who basically take those policies and they implement them based on council direction. So a council member will be in our council chambers every Monday night, and they attend different events throughout the community, and they are really the voice of the people.
Applications are now open until September 2nd. When the new member is selected, they will take office immediately. And a brand new high school opened its doors yesterday in Pasco, and it's the first of its kind in our area. Orion High School, known as the Career and College Academy, will only serve kids enrolled in the Pasco School District. It will offer students education in fields that lead to high-wage jobs, providing real-world experience.
We involved our community partners, our students, and our families, and basically what we decided there was a need for in our region was a school that really focused on some of the high-demand, livable wage jobs that are sometimes hard to fill here in our area.
This year, 160 freshmen will be attending the school, but it has the capacity for 600 students. Now let's turn our attention to the weather. Of course, with school on the horizon, that means we are going to be transitioning to fall very soon, but for the time being, summer is still in charge. We will be looking at a seasonal August day around the forecast area on this Wednesday. High temperatures will be ranging from the 80s to the low 90s. Now in the not too distant future, we are going to go through a pretty big warm up. I'll tell you when highs into the 100s could return. That is straight ahead.